Hey, it's Friday. Welcome back on the Wagon Podcast. We are a sobriety podcast, I should say, with a shot of comedy. Quarantine life is still going on here in Wisconsin. A couple weeks to go, and hopefully things will start getting back to normal. Today, I'm going to kind of dive into something that I kind of was looking into as I started my recovery journey, the life of the party expectation. I think this was more true probably back in the college days or mid-20s. But, it came up once in a while as well. Our trips to Vegas, our weddings that we would attend. I always used to seem to drink more at the wedding receptions. Vegas, not so much, just because that was more of a vacation. And we got pretty drunk at Vegas, I would say. But that was more of a friendship vacay. So I don't want to go too much into that because I don't regret some of those things. But yeah, the life of the party expectation. So when I first started drinking, I would think back in, when I was probably around 18 is when I really started to actually drink and feel an effect of alcohol. But I think I didn't really get fully drunk till I was probably, probably 20, right before, starting to get into the bar scene, I guess you could say. So once I got into the bar scene, I was coming out of ending a pretty long-term relationship. I would say it was probably about 2.5, 3 years in a relationship, and we kind of had hit that point where we were moving on from each other, but still kind of were friends, and on and on, stuff like that. But so that summer, I started playing softball with some of the older guys that I knew, and that's where I kind of started getting into the bar scene. Going out every Thursday night after that. Here in Oshkosh, we had a lot of college bars had a Thursday night special, whether it was dollar beers, dollar mixers. Sometimes then they went into $10 all you could drink, which would be rail or beer on taps. I mean, just, very cheap options. But I would actually spend more money on those nights because you're buying shots and things like that. But that's kind of where this life of the party thing kind of came into it with me, where people were expecting me to be out on Friday and Saturday nights. People wanted me out Friday and Saturday nights. Just it was more of a social aspect for me. And I think part of it was getting out of that relationship and trying to be single again and having a good time in that point of it. So that kind of all led into all this drinking, I guess you could say, in college. Excellent times, though. I mean, some of the times at the bars, a lot of laughs. That's one thing I could always say. There was never any big fights, there's always the bar fight. There's always the issues at the bars. But, percentage-wise, for all the times that we went out and drank, it was really just great classic stories the next day. So that was always things that I'll remember. But as we got older, so then getting into the mid-20s, we kind of moved out of the college bar scene and then went into more of the downtown scene, the Main Street scene, where, it was kind of a good hangout for people that were in their mid-20s, young professionals, all the way up to, early 30s, mid-30s type of clientele or crowd. So that was probably from 25 to now, or I'm going to be 33 soon. But then there was also a few bars these last couple years, or more dive bars that we were hanging out at, but also had that scene of 30-year-olds and plus and up. I think we started hitting those more. So it's you kind of just progress through the years of where you drank socially. But the middle 20s were some of my roughest times. I wasn't dating anybody at the time. Was still trying to live that college party life, but had a full-time job, but still going out, at least once a week. When I lived downtown, it had to have been at least once a week. So that kind of, transpired. Then once I moved out of downtown in with my current, girlfriend and Jenny, that we still were going out quite a bit. It wasn't every weekend, but it was probably at least every other weekend. So it's kind of dissipated through the times of actually going out and drinking. But then there was other things too that I was drinking at, whether it was family occasions, whether it was going out to eat with Jenny and having a few drinks, or having a few drinks at home. Things like that. So the life of the party expectation diminished a little bit after college, but not so much. Those mid 20 or 25 to 27 was pretty bad. With the still living up to, I got to go out and get hammered this weekend. I got to go out and meet up with everybody and see everybody out. And now from 27 to 33 or current or 32, still 32 yet, but was more of the party scene or the wedding scene. Like, there's a housewarming party that's at night. That's kind of an all night thing. Let's drink a lot at that. Or there's a wedding reception. Let's drink all night at that. That's kind of what it turned into. A church picnic. Let's drink as much as possible, then go to the bars. I mean, there was always an excuse for me of figuring out some way to get loaded. It just wasn't as often, but the same problem still persisted, even though it wasn't as often. Funny story. A couple of years ago, we lived down the street from the big church in town here that has a big church picnic, and good times. Good, you buy a lot of beer. Got pretty drunk. Went to the local bar that's right down the street. Thought that everybody that I was with left. But they were just at the other side of the bar, and got into a random car with two older ladies and ended up downtown. Nothing bad, but it's just like, why would I have done that? Why would I get in a car like that with people I don't know? They were just giving me a ride to the downtown bars, which they were going to. Just so stupid. But that's just what alcohol did to me. Like, I knew what I was doing, but I didn't. I think that's, it wasn't a full blackout, but it's like, why would I ever have done that? Now today I just think about that like that is just stupid. And the people were nice. They were. It wasn't like it was, but it's just like, I don't really know these people. I don't know where they're taking me, and we ended up downtown. But then I was out by myself calling people, thinking, wow, everybody's still at the bar across town still. Why would I have left? So that was something funny. I think I ended up staying out a long time by myself that night too. Just stupid. Not worth the hangovers anymore either. That was the biggest thing too, coming into my recovery, was these hangovers. And we could do a whole different episode. And actually, I'm going to save that for that. But the hangovers just progressed, and we could do a whole hangover episode from my starting drinking career all the way to my retirement. Let's do that next week. That's a great idea, actually. Write that in the calendar. But just things like that with the church picnics or the weddings. The weddings always turned into something. A few years ago, I had a friend got married in Milwaukee. So I go down there. Jenny's gone. So Jenny is doing, I think, work in Mexico or something. I think she was doing a wedding in Mexico. So I'm down there. My close group of friends go down there early Friday night, afternoon night, go out Friday night, drink, get in some kind of altercation at the bar where I was just walking into the bar, and somehow got sucker punched from the side. So I had a big welt on the side of my face. Had to go to this nice wedding the next day. Wake up, everybody's still kind of drunk. Wake up, go to a bar to eat lunch. Everybody has shots there, so I'm drunk again. For some reason, where I got punched, I had this little cut on my chin, a very almost like a razor, like a shaving cut. Well, since you're drinking, the blood doesn't doesn't clot as well. So I'm sitting in church. Start bleeding out of this little cut out of my face. And if for guys you don't know that, those little cuts when you're shaving are just a bear to stop anyways. So that just opens up during church. So then I'm in church. So then I had to go out of church to across the street to some gas or CVS to find some a Band-Aid to put on. It still wouldn't stop. Finally I got some liquid skin, I think it was called. It was some super glue, and it super glued this little cut. Oh, what a nightmare. I remember it was raining. So then after that, finally get that stuff, then we go to another bar to start pounding Captain and Cokes. And at that point, the second day of drinking, it's you could always drink more the second day, it seemed like. I don't know why, for me, but that's how it was. And then, went to the wedding reception, had a good time, blah, blah, blah. But then, getting home the next day, that's 2 days of drinking right there. So that was another story that just popped into my head. Just a wild weekend in there, getting sucker punched, and then turning into that wedding. Our most recent wedding, I think, was was it this summer? Or last summer already. I think it was last summer. My drinking had subsided quite a bit, but this one I kind of knew that I was going to go full force at. So we went to the wedding, nice wedding, then went to a nice bar downtown, had some appetizers, crushed a few like vodka mixers or something like that, so I'm feeling good. Run back to the house with Jen, get let the dog out, get back into a car. We didn't drive, but we got dropped off. I think my dad, who was going to the wedding too, picked us up and took us there. But then at that wedding, I just drank wine all night. Just absolutely pounded red wine all night long. Started dancing, got all, it was fine, like typical wedding stuff. But I remember getting home at like 11:30. I'm like, oh my God, I don't remember anything. I don't remember how we got home the next day. It's just crazy stuff like that. Just full blackout mode. Like, blacking out after 30 isn't good. That's just a sign of a drinking issue. And as more as I've listened to AA meetings and doing my reading and researching, like that is like the number one thing that you have an alcohol problem or signs of alcoholism are these blacking outs a lot. So then, like I said, I brought this up on the podcast before. Like, I actually did when I went into recovery on my sober date, I went back and said, okay, what are the last 10 times that I remember drinking, and or like actual full out being drunk, not just one or two, more than 3 drinks, I think that was. And then I figured out that it was like 10 times out of the 10 times I blacked out like 7 of them or didn't remember parts of the night. And that was like total a shock to me, because growing up drinking, or I shouldn't say growing up, but like getting into the early college years and turning 21, like blacking out was never happened to me. I only got sick twice I can remember in college, and one was like the next day, and one was at night that I don't really remember. That was one of the few blackout nights, but never really happened in college. Never was pulled out of bar. Like, I was thrown out of bars, but never was like dragged out of a bar because I was passed out or nothing like that. That kind of stuff happened later in my drinking. So yeah, it's just crazy. So 7 out of 10 last times drinking. So that was huge. As for now, this just came on 6 months last week. I know in the episode talked about things have been going good. Our business has been blowing up, and my focus is just so much better. Even like I said, even though I wasn't drinking every day, I would have those binge drink weekends where I drink multiple days, and I would, after that, after I would recover after the 2-3 day hangover, I would just be back at square one. I'd have to get my mind right again, my exercise right again. Like, it just screwed up so many things in my body, and to be out of that now is just great. So really excited what our business is going through. It's been a blessing, and I know a lot of people are going through tough times right now, and some people are turning to the bottle. Some people who have been sober for a long time are turning to alcohol because, they're at home. They don't have that structure in their life right now, or going to work, or if they've been laid off or even fired. It's a sad time, and hopefully people can get through it. But for me, it's been almost a blessing having Jenny at home and spending a lot of time with her and really building this business. It's been awesome, and I'm so grateful, and so grateful that whatever clicked that last night I drank, and why God said this is the time to stop, or enough is enough. And I don't know. I don't have an answer for it, but I'm so glad I did, and I'm still taking things day by day. It's still, one day at a time. If I don't drink today, I'm not gonna get drunk today, and I truly am gonna stand by that stance as we go along. But for otherwise, that's kind of all I got today. A little 15-minute podcast. Still pumping in some sparkling flavored water. So if anybody has any things that I should try, I'm still on that AHA or AHA. I don't even know how to officially say it, but I'm still on that train right now. I got a fridge full of that. Still on the coffee train in the morning, and try to cut back a little bit on that, but got some good flavored coffees going. So usually during the work day, when I have work time scheduled, I have a coffee. So yeah, that's life of the party expectations. It's crazy. I know I have a good friend's wedding coming up. I think 1 or 2 of them this summer, later in the summer, which is good, or in early fall. So we'll see when that, hopefully those can all take place, and I can attend those, and to see how those act, because those are a lot of my close friends are there, and Might be a little tougher for me, but at that point I should be 9-10 months in of sobriety. So looking forward to seeing everybody, and hopefully looking forward to getting sports back. I think we can all say that, and I'm really looking forward to getting to some baseball games and getting back watching basketball. Hopefully that sounds like it's on pace for, and also really looking forward to the Green Bay Packers season. Hopefully that by then we can have the stadiums open and have fans, because that's nothing better than Lambeau Field. So that is the podcast for this week. Next week we'll dive into hangovers. I think we all can relate to that. So that I got some great hangover stories. So I'll have to go back in my memory bank and remember those. But that's it for On the Wagon podcast this week. We will talk to you guys next week. Have a great weekend.